The sky over the alien arena burned with twin suns. Thousands of voices echoed from metallic towers. Alien war drums shook the ground beneath the humans' boots. And still he stood alone. His name was Jace Walker, a soldier from Earth, dragged here through a wormhole accident during a peace mission. Now he had become a contestant in a deadly ancient trial on the planet Varelia. The trial was simple: fight, win, or die. And the reward? His freedom. But no human had ever survived the Varelian trial by combat. The guards pushed him forward. The crowd hissed. Towering nobles and royal families watched from high balconies. On one of them sat 3 alien princesses, each draped in glittering armor, eyes glowing with curiosity and something else, something dangerous. Jace looked up. He didn't bow. He didn't kneel. He simply nodded. And that made one of the princesses smirk. The trial began. His opponent was a 10-foot-tall beast, named Korath. Half insect, half metal, it charged with sharp limbs and blood-soaked armor. The crowd roared. They expected Jace to fall in seconds. After all, he was only human, but Jace didn't back down. He remembered Earth's gravity training, the harsh winters of Europa Base, the lessons from his old martial commander, General Park. He dodged the first strike, rolled under the beast's legs, and jabbed a blade into a joint. Korath shrieked up. The aliens leaned forward in surprise. Humans were supposed to be weak, soft, unworthy, but Jace was different. His speed, his grit, his refusal to give up, it made the Varelian nobles whisper. The battle dragged on. Blood hit the ground, mostly alien. Jace took a blow to his ribs, but kept standing. He ducked, weaved, countered. Every move calculated. Every breath controlled. Then with a final leap, Jace climbed the beast's back and shoved his blade straight through its neck. The roar of the crowd stopped. Silence fell across the arena. The impossible had happened. He stood over the fallen body, chest rising and falling, sword still wet with alien blood. The silence broke with thunderous applause. Some nobles stood in disbelief. Others clapped reluctantly. But from the high royal box 3 sets of glowing eyes burned with something deeper. Princess Kaela, eldest and most feared, leaned forward with a wicked grin. Princess Liora, the middle one, tilted her head thoughtfully, like studying a puzzle she couldn't solve, and Princess Nyrix, the youngest, clutched the railing with trembling fingers, her heart racing with something she didn't understand. Jace was dragged to the center platform. A mechanical voice declared him victorious. His chains were cut, his record cleared. He was a free man. The arena guard stepped back, but before he could take a single step outside the ring, the queen herself raised her hand. "I grant him freedom," she said coldly. "But he belongs to the House of the Crown. No one leaves the trial untouched by royal law." Jace's eyes narrowed. He could smell the trap. From behind the queen, all 3 princesses stepped forward. "I invoke ancient right," Kaela said, voice calm but sharp like a blade. "The champion who survives may not leave without a claim from royal blood." Liora stepped beside her. "We each have the right to petition." Then Nyrix whispered, barely audible, "I do not want him to go." Jace blinked. Was this another trick? He had won. He had survived the impossible. Why were they doing this? A noble behind him muttered, "He is the first human to win. They can't let him leave." He looked up at the princesses. 3 alien women, each different, each powerful. And now they all wanted something from him. Not his sword, not his blood, but his presence. The queen smiled faintly. "You may choose one of them, or we will choose for you." Jace felt the weight of the entire galaxy press on him. The crowd chanted again, but not for his death this time. They cheered for the choosing. A strange ritual. A Game of Thrones. One he never asked to play in. Jace backed away slowly. "I came here by accident. I only want to leave." But Kaela stepped down from the royal box, standing inches from him. Then fight again, human. This time for your own heart. His fists clenched. He had escaped death once. But now he was caught in something far more dangerous than combat: politics. Attraction. And a game between three powerful sisters who refused to let him go. He had become more than a warrior. He had become a prize. And even as the trial ended, his real battle had only just begun. Jace stood frozen as Princess Kaela circled him like a predator. Her armor glinted under the arena lights. She was tall, sharp-eyed, and moved like someone who had never lost a battle. Her voice was calm, but there was fire behind it. You survived the trial. That makes you worthy. He didn't answer. His body still hurt from the fight. But it wasn't pain that kept him still, it was confusion. This wasn't about honor or glory. This was something else. Behind her, Princess Liora moved with quiet grace. She studied Jace like he was some rare weapon, interesting, maybe dangerous. She didn't speak, just watched him, arms folded behind her back. But the youngest, Nyrix, took a step forward. Her voice shook a little when she spoke. He shouldn't be forced. That's not what the right is for. Kaela didn't turn. Then let him choose. The Queen's voice echoed again from above. Let the human rest. We begin the claiming. Ceremony tomorrow. Guards escorted Jace out of the arena. This time they didn't push him or bind his wrists. But they watched him like he might run. He didn't. He was too tired to run. And he knew something now. He wasn't just a warrior who won. He was a symbol. And symbols were never allowed to disappear quietly. They led him to a guest chamber. Inside the palace, it was too large, too clean, and too quiet. He sat on the edge of the glowing stone bed and stared at his blood-stained hands. Outside the door, armored guards stood watch. He wasn't a prisoner, but he wasn't free either. The next morning, as two red suns rose, the door opened. A servant, tall and silver-skinned, gestured for him to follow. You are summoned by the royal daughters. Jace hesitated. All of them? The servant only nodded. They took him to a strange room filled with floating stones that glowed softly. The princesses waited in a triangle, each at a point. And in the center, a single platform stood bare. Kaela was dressed in black ceremonial armor. Liora wore a deep blue robe with long sleeves that dragged across the floor like shadows. And Nyrix had no armor, just a simple white dress, her long hair tied behind her head. Her face held no challenge, only quiet fear. Kaela spoke first. Under Varelian law, the one who survives the trial may not leave without a bond. Being offered, each of us may offer once. You must accept one. Jace frowned. And if I don't? Liora answered coolly. Then your survival becomes invalid. The law would erase your victory. You'd be returned to the trial, against a new foe. Nyrix looked away. She hated this. Jace could see it. But she didn't fight it. She had no power to stop the law. Kaela stepped onto the platform. I am the eldest. I claim you as a warrior of my house. You will fight beside me. Earn glory. Command legions. Be more than a memory. She held out her hand. Jace looked at it, then slowly turned to Liora. She stepped forward next, calm and elegant. I offer you knowledge. I serve the Archive Temple. If you choose me, I will teach you everything our people know. History, power, secrets of the stars. You won't be a soldier. You'll be a builder of the future. Then Nyrix stepped forward. She didn't stand on the platform, didn't lift her chin like the others. She simply said, I don't want you to be forced. I want you to be free. I want you to choose not because of fear, but because you want to stay. Silence filled the room. Jace looked at the three princesses. Kaela offered war. Liora offered wisdom. Nyrix offered choice. But each came with a price. If he rejected them all, they'd throw him back into the trial. And next time, they wouldn't send just a beast. They'd send something worse, His heart pounded. On Earth, he was a soldier, nothing more. But here, in this strange place, he'd become something rare, a human with power. But power could become a cage. Kaela stepped closer again. Choose, or they will choose for you. Jace breathed slowly. I need time. You have until sunset, the Queen's voice said from nowhere. Then the council will decide. He was led back to his chamber, but sleep didn't come. He stared at the ceiling, at the stars beyond the crystal glass. Somewhere out there, Earth was waiting. But was there a way back? And even if there was, did he still belong there? Because now 3 alien princesses wanted him, and none of them planned to let go. The suns were low in the alien sky, bleeding red light across the crystal towers. In his chamber, Jace paced silently. He had less than an hour before sunset. Less than an hour to choose between 3 futures, none of which felt like freedom. Every path was a trap. Kaela offered power but demanded loyalty. Liora promised knowledge but spoke in riddles. And Nyrix offered only a quiet, dangerous kindness that unsettled him more than the other 2. A soft knock broke the silence. He turned sharply. It wasn't a guard. It was her. Princess Nyrix stood at the door, alone, no armor, no crown. Just a nervous expression and a small cloth bundle in her hands. I brought you food, she said quietly. Jace didn't move. Does your mother know you're here? She wouldn't care. Nyrix stepped inside and closed the door. They think I'm the weak one, the soft one, but they forget I watch everything. She placed the bundle on the table. Inside, wrapped in leaves, were warm alien fruits and a meat-like paste. Steam rose from it gently. Jace's stomach growled, but he didn't sit. Why are you really here? Nyrix sat down first. Because you're not like them. And you're not like us either. That means no one truly understands what choose, not even me. He finally sat, watching her carefully. You don't want me as your warrior? No. She picked at the edge of her sleeve. I want you to stay, but I won't force you. That's what makes it dangerous. He blinked. How is that dangerous? Because if you choose freedom, they'll take it personally. Especially Kaela. Jace looked away. She wants a soldier. She wants a trophy. Nyrix's voice was bitter. You embarrassed the council. You made their strongest beast look like a fool. She wants you in her house to prove she still controls the story. Jace rubbed his forehead. And Liora? Nyrix shrugged. She wants answers. You're the first human any of us have met. She study you, not love you. But she'd treat you with respect at least. He leaned back against the wall. And you? I want to stop all this. She stood up, walking to the window. But I can't. The law is ancient. If no bond is claimed before sunset, the right of survival resets. You'll be seen as unclaimed, and someone else will be allowed to challenge you. Someone worse than Korath. She turned back to face him. They'll never let a free human walk away. Not now. Not after what you did. So either I become property, or I die. Nyrix didn't answer. That was enough. Jace stood, walking slowly to the window beside her. He stared at the fading light. The twin suns were almost touching the horizon. Nyrix whispered, If I ask you to choose me, will you? Jace looked into her glowing violet eyes. She was young, gentle, but not naive. She had grown up surrounded by cruelty and control, and still chose compassion. That made her dangerous in a different way. I don't want to be owned, he said softly. Then don't be, she replied. But if you choose me, I'll break the bond after the ceremony. I'll claim you to protect you, and then release you. He stared at her. You do that? For someone you just met? Nyrix smiled faintly. You're not like them. You fought and didn't gloat. You won and didn't brag. You could have humiliated our entire world, but you didn't. She stepped closer. That's rare here. Jace clenched his fists. He had trusted no one since arriving. But something about Nyrix's voice, her calm strength, it felt different. Maybe even real. I don't want to bond, he said again. But I don't want to die either. Then we have only one option. The chamber door burst open. Guards flooded in. Behind them, Kaela strode in like a storm. Her eyes narrowed as she saw Nyrix standing beside him. Time is up, she said coldly. The council awaits. Nyrix stepped in front of Jace. I invoke first claim, she said boldly. By royal blood, I name him as mine. The guards froze. Kaela's voice dropped. You dare stand in my way? I dare to protect him. Nyrix said, he is not yours, not a tool, not a toy. The queen's voice echoed once more across the palace. Let the claiming ceremony begin. Jace stepped forward slowly, standing between the sisters. Then let's get this over with, he said. And as the final rays of the twin suns faded, the decision that would shake the royal court was made. The ceremony hall was built from glowing crystal and black stone. Every step Jace took echoed through the chamber. 100 nobles watched from the balconies, their expressions unreadable. The queen sat on her high throne, her face carved from ice. Jace stood in the center. On his left, Princess Nyrix stood. Straight, though her hands trembled slightly. On his right, Kaela watched him like a wolf eyeing a wounded rival. Liora stood behind them both, silent but alert. The queen raised her hand. The trial has ended. But under the laws of Virelion, right, the champion must not remain unclaimed. Princess Nyrix has stepped forward with first claim. Is there any challenge? Kaela didn't blink. Yes, I challenge her claim. He should be mine. Gasps filled the room. The challenge was rare. Between royal sisters, it was nearly unheard of. Nyrix's voice shook, but she did not back down. He does not want a bond. I am protecting his right to choose. Kaela stepped forward. He is a symbol of power. Letting him walk free makes us look weak. Jace finally raised his voice. What if I don't want either of you to claim me? The queen stared at him. That option no longer exists. You allowed the hour to pass. Now you are a figure of royal attention. He frowned. Then why ask me to choose at all? Because your choice decides who gains the most honor, Liora answered softly. But your freedom, that ended the moment you survived. Kaela pointed at Nyrix. Let her prove her worth. Trial by judgment. The nobles murmured in shock. Nyrix's face went pale. You want to fight me? Over him? No, Kaela said with a cruel smile. You fight someone else. He will fight on your behalf. I will choose my champion. Jace took a step forward. If I win, this ends? The queen nodded slowly. If you fight for Nyrix and win, her claim is accepted without further challenge. If you lose, Kaela may claim you without resistance. Jace looked at Nyrix. She looked terrified. He nodded. Then I'll fight. Kaela raised one finger. A large door slid open. From the shadows, a warrior stepped forward. Bigger than Korath, covered in plaited skin and scars. His eyes glowed red. His breathing was heavy, calm, controlled. This is Vezrak, Kaela said. He's killed champions from 12 systems. You will face him, now. Jace cracked his neck. Of course I will. They were taken back to the arena. This time, the crowd was louder. Every seat was filled. Word had spread another fight. Another human against a beast. But this one was for something deeper than survival. It was for royal favor. Jace stepped into the ring. His body still ached from the last battle, but he pushed the pain down. Across from him, Vezrak raised a massive cleaver blade. It looked like it weighed more than Jace himself. Above the arena, Kaela stood watching, arms folded. Nyrix sat silently beside her mother, biting her lip. Liora stood between them, arms crossed. Unreadable. The signal flared. VEZZRAK charged. Jace rolled under the first swing and kicked Vezrak's leg. It was like kicking a stone wall. Pain shot up his foot, but he didn't slow down. He moved faster, smarter. He used the sand, the angles, the monster's weight against him. But this was no wild beast. Vezrak was trained. He feinted, then elbowed Jace in the stomach. The impact knocked the wind out of him. Jace hit the ground. Hard, coughing, ribs screaming. Above, Kaela smiled. Nyrix stood, panic rising in her eyes. "Please get up," she whispered. Jace pushed himself up. Blood dripped from his nose. He remembered the old training again. General Park's voice. "Don't beat them with strength. Beat them with resolve." Vezrak swung again, missed. Jace ducked, then kicked sand into the alien's face. It barely slowed him, but it gave Jace an opening. He jumped onto a wall spike, flipped, and brought his blade down across the back of Vezrak's leg. The beast roared. The crowd stood. Jace didn't stop. He drove the blade deeper, twisting it, using his whole body weight. Vezzrak collapsed. And Jace, barely standing, raised his weapon. The arena exploded with noise. He had won again, for the second time. A human stood alone while an alien monster bled into the sand. The queen rose. The victory is clear. Nyrix ran to the edge of the arena. Her eyes filled with tears. Kaela turned her back and walked away, but this time, Liora followed her, saying nothing. Jace fell to one knee, not out of respect but because his body was finally giving out, and as Nyrix reached for him, the crowd whispered a new name, not warrior, not outsider, but something else, chosen. The healers worked quickly. Jace lay on a crystal slab as warm light passed over his bruised ribs. A golden liquid dripped into his arm from a vine-like tube. It numbed the pain, but his thoughts were far from calm. He had survived 2 impossible fights, and now he had become a political symbol. Not just to the princesses, but to the entire Varelian Empire. Princess Nyrix stayed close by his side. She refused to leave the healing chamber. Even when the queen summoned her twice, she simply said, "He fought for me. I won't abandon him now." Jace watched her as he healed. Her face was soft, but her posture was firm. She sat straight, eyes focused, hands still. It wasn't fear anymore. It was something else, conviction. "You didn't have to challenge her," Jace said quietly. "Kaela could have destroyed you." Nyrix looked at him. "She already tried. Just not with swords." He nodded slowly. "That's the real fight, isn't it? Not in the arena but up there." Nyrix didn't smile. "You understand more than they think." The chamber door opened. Princess Liora stepped inside. She didn't ask permission. Her blue robes trailed behind her like moving water. She didn't even glance at Nyrix. "May I speak with him?" Nyrix stood. "If you speak as a sister, yes. If you speak as a rival, no." Liora tilted her head slightly. "I speak as someone who's done watching." Nyrix stepped aside, but stayed within earshot. Jace raised an eyebrow. "Didn't expect you." Liora folded her arms. "You're clever, Jace. Too clever to stay in this palace long. They'll drown you in politics until you forget your own name." "What do you want from me?" he asked. "I want to know why you fight like that," Liora said. "Not with brute force, but with purpose. Where does it come from?" Jace looked up at the glowing ceiling. "From Earth, from watching others lose everything and keep going. We don't fight to win. We fight because we refuse to lose." Liora studied him. "You understand pain. That's dangerous." He frowned. "Dangerous to whom?" "To the ones who think they control everything." Nyrix stepped between them. "What do you really want, Liora?" Liora turned slowly. "To survive. And if Kaela becomes queen, none of us will." Jace blinked. "You're scared of your own sister?" "No," Liora said. I'm scared of what she's willing to destroy to prove herself right." There was silence for a moment. Then Jace sat up straighter. "So what now?" Liora's voice dropped. "I believe a civil war is coming. Kaela won't forget you embarrassed her. She won't forgive Nyrix for winning the challenge. And she won't stop until she holds everything in her hands." "And what do you plan to do?" Nyrix asked. Lior looked between them both. "The question is, what do we plan to do?" That night, Jace didn't sleep. He stood at the edge of the palace garden, staring out at the twin moons. Nyrix stood beside him, silent. Then he finally asked, "What happens when the queen dies?" Nyrix swallowed. "The crown passes to one of us. Kaela was always meant to take it. But now the people talk. Some support her. Some support me." Jace looked at her. "Because of me?" "Yes," she said. "And that's why you're in danger." Jace nodded. "So even if I leave, they'll still chase me?" Nyrix didn't answer. He turned to her. "Then maybe I shouldn't run. Maybe I should help fix it." Nyrix's voice was soft. "Even if it means war?" He sighed. "If war is coming either way, I'd rather be on the side that doesn't lie." Footsteps approached. This time, it wasn't a princess or a guard. It was the queen. She stood alone, wearing no crown, no armor. Only a simple silver cloak that shimmered in the moonlight. Her eyes were tired. Older than before, but still sharp. "You have caused many ripples, human," she said. Jace didn't move. "I didn't ask to be here." "No," the queen said. "But now you are. And you've become a symbol I can't ignore." Nyrix stepped forward. "If you're here to stop us, I'm not," the queen interrupted. "I'm here to warn you." She looked directly at Jace. "Kaela has left the palace. She's taken command of a hidden fleet. She says she's preparing for war with the outer sectors. But I know better." "She's coming back for me," Jace said. "No," the queen said. "She's coming back for the crown. And she'll burn this world to get it." Jace felt his heart thud in his chest. The queen turned. "You were not meant to change our story, but now that you have, the only way forward is through fire." And as she disappeared into the shadows, Jace understood something. He was no longer just fighting for survival. He was fighting for a future that didn't belong to him, but might, if he dared to claim it. The palace halls were quiet, but tension filled every corner. Guards moved in tighter groups. Servants whispered behind closed doors. Nobles avoided eye contact. Everyone knew something was coming. They just didn't know when. Jace stood in the war chamber, facing a glowing table that showed the planets. Orbit. 3 red dots moved fast toward the capital. Kaela's ships. She wasn't hiding her return. She wanted them to know. Nyrix stood beside him, wearing ceremonial armor white and silver, like her crest. Her eyes were steady, but her hands gripped the edge of the table tightly. Liora stood opposite, arms crossed, her calm mask hiding deep concern. "She's using the claim law as her excuse," Liora said. "She say your bond with Nyrix was illegal, that the crown failed to protect the trial's sanctity." Jace nodded slowly. "She's not coming for just me. She's coming to end everything." Nyrix looked at him. "You don't have to stay. We could still smuggle you off-world." "No," Jace said firmly. "If I run, I become what she says. I am a symbol of weakness." He turned to both princesses. "If she's going to make me the reason for war, then I'll be the reason she loses it." The queen entered. She looked smaller than before, tired, but her eyes were still sharp. She walked to Nyrix and placed a hand on her shoulder. "The throne is yours now," she said. "If you want it. But you must be ready to stand where I cannot." Nyrix froze. "Mother, I've seen what Kaela has become," the queen said, "and what she's willing to destroy." She turned to Jace. "You were never supposed to be part of our story. But somehow you've become its center." A low alarm rang across the palace. Kaela's fleet had entered orbit. The final moment had come. The palace shields activated. Cannons rotated into place. But it wasn't enough. Kaela had more ships. More weapons. More loyal warriors. Jace walked to the front gate, suited in Varelian battle armor, reforged for a human frame. It didn't matter if it fit or not. What mattered was who stood beside him. Nyrix took her place at his left. Liora, surprisingly, stood at his right, and behind them, a mix of guards, scholars, and civilians who had chosen to defend the city not because of duty, but because they believed in something more. Kaela's voice thundered from the sky. Surrender the human, surrender the throne, or face extinction. Jace stepped forward and activated the come stone. If you want me, Kaela, come get me yourself. Moments later, the enemy landed. Dropships smashed into the outer grounds. Kaela led them herself, sword drawn, helmet gleaming, her eyes burning with fury. She didn't wait. She charged. Jace met her head on. Their blades clashed with a force that cracked the ground beneath them. She was stronger, faster, but he was smarter. He didn't fight for himself. He fought for everyone behind him. They traded blow after blow. Sparks flew. The air shimmered with heat and fury. Kaela screamed as she drove him back, but Jace twisted under her strike and hit her shoulder with a clean slash. She staggered. He didn't finish her. Instead, he stepped back. This isn't your war anymore, he said. It's theirs. Kaela looked past him. Nyrix was standing atop the palace stairs, the queen's crest glowing above her chest. Behind her stood every house leader who had remained neutral until now. They stepped forward one by one and knelt. Kaela's face twisted. You would choose her over me? Over blood? Liora walked to her side. You stopped being one of us the moment you saw everyone as your enemy. Kaela screamed and raised her blade again. But this time, Jace caught her arm. I beat you once, he said. And I'll do it again if I have to. But Kaela looked around. She was outnumbered. Outmatched. Unwanted. She dropped her weapon. Later, Kaela was taken into custody. Her fleet surrendered within hours. The war ended before it could begin. And in the heart of the capital, a new crown was passed down. Nyrix was named Queen of Varelia. Liora became her chief advisor. And Jace? He stood in the shadows, watching the ceremony, his armor removed, a soft smile on his face. He had expected to die in a trial. Instead, he had helped stop a war. Not with domination, not with cruelty, but by refusing to become a tool. After the celebration, Nyrix found him in the garden. You still want to leave? She asked gently. Jace looked at the stars. Someday. But not yet. She took his hand. Then stay, not as a bond. Not as a symbol, but as yourself. He nodded. For the first time in weeks, he felt peace. Not because he was safe, but because he had changed the story and no one would ever write humans off again.